Hi everyone, it's me, the yapping fairy, Lucy. And today I'm coming to you with a very special first impressions and review of the Flower Nose Midsummer Fairytales collection. I have done a few Flower Nose makeup reviews on this channel before because they are one of the most viral aesthetic makeup brands. And you know me, okay? I love and value a good aesthetic, but I also want it to be good. So they have sent me a selection of products from their brand new collection. As I'm filming it, I don't even think it's out yet, which is really exciting. It is a mystery selection of products from the new collection. I'm actually wearing them right now. If your social media algorithm is anything similar to mine, you have probably seen the sneak peeks and previews of this collection in your feed. I don't know about you, I love fairy tales, fairy vibes. As a quick disclaimer, I am an affiliate with Flower Nose, but I'm not sponsored by them and they don't have any approvals on any of my content. So these are very much my genuine first impressions and opinions. All of the details of all of the products and the shade names and everything will be linked down in the description box below. And with that, let's jump into it. I'm very excited to get into this little box of Midsummer Fairytale goodies. I've gone in and just done some very simple makeup prep, just a little brow gel, little brow pencil, and I've just gone for like light medium coveragey kind of vibe because that's mostly my vibe every day. This is the Romand Nu Zero cushion and I really enjoy this for filming just because I really like a super wet, like dewy, fresh look, but that does not always read well on camera. In like day-to-day, not under a ring light, this does read as more of like a natural kind of soft finish. But I do just want to lightly powder and just take the shine down a teensy bit. And I have this one. This is the Music Box Setting Powder in 03, so it's the translucent one. But it's very finely milled. It's not too like heavy. It doesn't make your makeup cakey at all. Takes the shine down a little bit, but doesn't make it look completely like flat matte. See what I mean? We still have like a little freshness, a little liveliness, but less wet. So I'll pop that one down below because I have really enjoyed it. And I also think this packaging is like some of my favorite from Flower Nose. I feel like we all kind of agree the packaging is a massive draw with this brand, but enough about the Swan Ballet. Let's talk about the Midsummer Fairytales collection. So I have in here some pieces from Flower Nose. I do, from seeing the sneak peeks on social media, I do know what the collection sort of looks like, but I didn't get to pick these particular pieces. They have picked them for me. Here is what we have from the collection. I won't harp on too much about packaging, but I just do think they do a really good job. And I personally feel like this kind of really girly, feminine, like fantasy aesthetic can be quite hard to nail. But I think Flower Nose, out of brands that I think kind of, you know, exist in this category, I do think they're the top dog. I do think they do it the best. Speaking of which, when I see these big boxes, I know they're gonna be mirrors. And I never used to like be into them or kind of really have any interest in them, but the Flower Nose one, I have the Mermaid one in the pink and that one made me a convert, so I'm keen to see what this one looks like from the fairy collection. Midsummer Fairy, I don't know, it's pretty good. The heart shape, are you kidding? I do think this is my new hand mirror because I'm obsessed. Also, are the little illustrations on there not like so Shirley Barber vibes? I have a sense that quite a few of you may be across the Shirley Barber-verse, but like those beautiful like illustrated fairy books and like puzzles, and there was like a board game as well. Like I was so into that. It was my everything, and this definitely gives me that kind of same like vintage childhood illustration vibe that is just so magical. Also kind of like the Disney fairies books, like the illustrated ones, you know the ones I mean. I always do my eyes first, so I feel like we should jump into this one, which is the 5-color makeup palette, and this one is in the shade 03 Fairy Melody. So they have 3 different eyeshadow palettes. There are 2 sort of more neutral kind of ones, and they tend to do sort of riffs on those in each collection. And then they also tend to do one that I would say is like more unique and very like themed to that collection. So in this particular fairy collection, they've done like a kind of greeny sort of one. That's really cute. So we'll see which one this one is. Oh my gosh. This like minty green with like the pearlescent pink is really giving me the Japanese Lacquer makeup, or just like Lacquer in general, but you know, if we're talking makeup, I'm gonna mention the Lacquer makeup line. That is so cute. And there's this like pearl inset behind it that is a little hard to show on camera, but it's so pretty in real life. So this is the shade. Oh my God, I got the green one. We got the green one. And of course I would be happy to test and try any of them for you, but I was privately really keen for this one just because it's really different. And as you can kind of see in terms of color scheme and palette, it's not really like super warm or super cool. I mean, obviously there's like a champagne-y gold and like a peach, so you could say those lean warmer, but I would say the greens kind of lean more on that like neutral kind of side of things. We'll see how it looks on the eye, you know. But that is just so stunningly beautiful. Let's get this on my eyeballs immediately. Now, I don't really do colored eyeshadow every day, so we'll see how this turns out. But what I do love about Flower Nose is I find their products are quite beginner friendly. So if you're a little bit scared of like really strong pigments or difficult to work with formulas, in my experience, I find them to be super easy to work with and quite a nice balance between being pigmented but also buildable. So I've just taken a little bit of that peachy shade and I'm just gonna kind of put that in my crease to kind of set ourselves up. I'm just gonna zoom you in a little bit as well. And from what I can tell and from what I'm vibing, I think this is the same / very similar formula to their previous eyeshadow releases. Super just chill, easy to work with. I really want to dive into these greens. I'm just taking a little of the kind of lighter matte green and I'm just gonna kind of take that on the lid. I'm gonna try and use a few eyeshadows, but typically I'm kind of like a 1 to 3 eyeshadow gal. It's not quite as pigmented as the peachy color, like I am having to dip back in quite a bit, but I'm also trying to build up like enough so you can kind of really see the color. It's not looking perfectly even, but also I'm not perfectly even, so I'm okay with that. Just taking a little along the lower lash line. I won't say this is like professional makeup artist level pigment. I can't really speak to that. I'm not really a professional. I'm just, you know, an enthusiast. But for the average makeup user, I do feel like it's easy to work with. The colors, you know, turning out how I would expect. I want to try and use as many of the colors as possible so we can have a play, but I feel like even just that green as like a super soft wash over the lid would be like so delicious. Now I'm just gonna grab a little bit of that darker green just along the outer bit there and on the lash line. Tiny bit of fallout from that one, but nothing crazy. Okay, I do feel like with the darker green, you do have to kind of layer it up a little bit because I feel like as I'm sort of blending it, it's kind of disappearing. I don't tend to reach for these kind of smokier, darker colors as often, so I'm not as familiar with as many formulas. Yeah, the darker green isn't like, I don't know, it's fine. I personally wouldn't really reach for the darker green other than to maybe, you know, smoke out a lash line or something like that. It's just something to consider. But now I feel like let's jump into the color that I feel like everyone is most keen for when it comes to the Flower Nose palettes, which is the kind of shimmer glitter shade. I just wanna dip into it. It looks so stunning. And I've been really impressed by these shades in the past with them. Ooh, okay, this one feels different. Previously, they've been this really high shimmer, like glittery kind of formula, but this is like more of like an iridescent sheen. This feels different. I don't know if you're able to pick that up. It's really, really subtle. That is really different to the previous Flower Nose. They normally have this really super sparkly, high impact glitter, which I thought from like looking at it, that would be sort of the vibe of what this one was. But you know what? It feels almost wet. It kind of feels like the ColourPop style shadows. Like it feels quite like soft and spongy. I'm trying to like see if I can swatch a little more for you. Yeah, it's not really showing up well on camera. But there's almost no base pigment, if that makes sense. It's like there's only an iridescence, which is quite beautiful, but is quite different if you have used Flower Nose palettes before and you're kind of expecting it to be super shiny, metallic, glittery, sparkle, sparkle nation. Like this is a different vibe, a different fairy realm, if you will. It's very pretty, but just, I feel like this is a little bit different for Flower Nose. Maybe they have done it in other collections, but none of the ones I've tried have done this. So I'm just gonna grab some on my finger because I feel like that's the best way I'm gonna get payoff. Let's see, I wanna pop it like here. Oh, I feel like it's showing up better on my eye than on my hand. Okay. Can you see that? Oh yeah, you can kind of see there. That's like the vibe. So for me personally, and the kind of makeup I like to do, especially with eye makeup, I generally keep it pretty soft and simple on the eyes. I'm a low visual weight gal, if you've been on that side of TikTok. It has these like really pretty minty green and kind of periwinkle sort of reflex in real life. It gives pixie dust, you know what I mean? Like I would just wear this kind of all over my lid with like a really tiny bit of like a neutral crease color and some liner, and I would think this is like so stunning. That is so pretty. The only shade we have left to try is the yellow, and I'm kind of scared about how it's gonna look because yellowy goldy colors I feel like can be hit or miss with me. So let me just get a little bit, kind of swatch So you can see that was the green I swatched there, and that's the gold there. And it's like, sorry, I wasn't trying to, no. But again, it's like an iridescent-y kind of gold. How it looks kind of in the pan, it looks like it's sort of a metallic, is not how it shows up in person at all. That is also really pretty, and I want to put it on my eye. I'm getting it on a brush, just gonna plop it in the inner corner. Wow, that's pretty. This feels very similar in formula to the other shimmery shade in this palette. I thought this was gonna be like a shimmer metallic, but it is not. It's like barely showing up. You can kind of see it in the inner corner there, but it is also a super soft, almost transparent, like iridescent kind of shade, which actually works for me because I'm much more likely to use it, that it's not like a super strong yellowy color. I've just turned my light down to see if you can kind of see a little bit more of the iridescent vibe. See what I mean? Like there, you can kind of see the vibe. I mean, for me, I'm super excited to play because I feel like this makes it more wearable and I'm more likely to use them more regularly because they are kind of softer and less intimidating. So that is that palette there. I really like that kind of mid-toned minty green. I feel like it came out really beautifully, was very easy to use. The dark green, peachy color, very nice sort of standard neutral. And then the two sparkly shades, very different to my first impressions, but I think they're pretty. I do think they are very like fairy dust, shimmery, ethereal vibes, but it's different than what I've seen personally from Flower Nose before. I'm just gonna quickly finish up the eyes. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the Flower Nose dark brown eyeliner. This is a liquid liner with a brush tip, and I'm a brush liner girly, so I really like this one. I feel like it's just super easy to use. Like, that's done. I just wanted to do a tiny bit because I feel like this look just goes so well with like a brown liner. I'm feeling like a little forest fairy. I'm gonna pop on a little bit of brown mascara. Why not? Keep the vibe going. I'm using the Glossier Lash Slick, again in like their brown shade. I considered doing a black mascara, but I feel like I just wanna keep it kind of soft, nature fairy vibes. And I feel like what the Glossier mascara does well is it just gives like enhanced natural lash. And just turning my light down because I feel like it does sometimes wash out the vibe, but it's a really pretty, simple, soft eye look. Oh, I didn't realize that I would get one of these. So I haven't tried any products in this category from Flower Nose. And I feel like I was just on autopilot kind of prepping my makeup for this video, but they have an eyebrow palette. This one is in the shade 01 Latte Browns. I don't know what that is gonna look like, but once again, the packaging is super cute. That is what it looks like on the inside. And here I am looking like a numpty because I've already filled my eyebrows in. Not that I need to do a lot of it because they're pretty thickums to begin with. And it comes with a little double-sided spoolie brush vibe, which I enjoy. I haven't used powder for my eyebrows in years. Let me just touch up the tail. I feel like the darkest shade is realistically the one I would use, maybe the one in the middle, but the one at the front, the lightest color, pretty unlikely that I would use that. Okay, you can't really tell. I think I would need some more playtime with this one. With everything here, this is first impressions. I typically do just use like a really fine tipped like micro pencil just to kind of fill in the areas for my brows. So in terms of for me personally, it's not something that I would go out of my way to grab. For me, this is probably not a standout of the collection. I don't know, give me time. Maybe I could use it and be like, wow, this is the best brow powder of all time. I feel like the formula of these brow powders is feeling very similar to the general eyeshadow formula they use. Because at the end of the day, what is brow powder? If not, maybe a slightly, ever so slightly more pigmented eyeshadow. Now we come to one of my sort of favorite categories, which is blush. And I have two shades here. I have 01 Blooming Days and 04 Summer Blossom. So I don't know what they're gonna look like, so let's have a look together. I feel like I get kind of pink under these lights because I just am a girly pop who gets pink. And it's so awkward because I do like light to medium coverage and then I get into the lights and I'm like, I should have done something a little fuller. Because now I'm like all pinky around my cheeks. Like I know I've already powdered, but I'm just gonna, I was wearing a jumper on top of this like all day because I was so cold. But now that I'm sitting under the light, it's like a little heat lamp and I'm like a baby duckling. Less red, maybe. Did that achieve anything? Maybe. So this is 01 Blooming Days. And that is what I would describe as like a true kind of peach. Maybe even like a soft tangerine. That is very orange. It is a beautiful shade, but I'm a little bit orange shy, shall we say. I feel like the overall color story for this collection is really interesting. I would say this one leans a little more in like the soft, like warm toned direction than previous ones, or at least that's like the vibe I'm picking up on. And then this blush, which you can kind of see is like a little more like baby blue kind of packaging than the sort of creamy off-white of number one, is 04 Summer Blossom, which also is kind of like an orangey sort of shade. They do look quite similar on camera and they are similar in real life, but this one is definitely more of like a true like soft tangerine mandarin kind of orange, and this one is more of like a peachy coral, but both kind of some of the paler shades. They are very similar looking, but I am gonna go with the slightly more pinky corally toned one. I feel like those just work better for me personally than like straight up peachy shades. And from my experience, these blushes, I actually really like them. I have a couple from their other collections and I use them like really frequently. Actually, like I think they're a really nice kind of matte formula. You can kind of see there. Let me just dab this onto my little cheeky cheeks. Just gonna do a really light layer. I feel like that's coming off. I'm just like that, okay? Even if it looks like sort of peachy pink in the pan, anything that's like in that warmer kind of tone family just comes off really warm on me. As I've learnt, a blessing and a curse, I suppose, from personal color theory stuff. That formula does feel very similar to other ones I've tried. The shade, it's not my personal favorite, I'm just being honest. I'm not an orangey, peachy girl currently in this current era of my life, but that is no reflection on the quality of the blush or anything like that. Super easy to work with formula, really beautiful, nice kind of matte watercolory sort of vibe. You can kind of see it's really easy to use. And that's something I like about Flower Nose, especially because the packaging is so gorgeous. So it's just nice because it's, I think, like easy to gift because the product inside, for the most part, from most of the things I've tried, is easy to use and just looks nice. It's no fuss. Sorry, I just had a really strong urge to add some little freckles. I've been thinking about it like the entire time I was filming, that I felt this was a freckly kind of look. But as soon as we put the little peachy blush on, I was like, okay, it's freckling time. This is just the ColourPop freckle pen in soft brown. And then I'm just gonna add a little peachiness on the nose as well. See, I feel like that kind of brings it together a little bit. This one cool trick will make you fall in love with warm toned makeup. Okay, I think I'm kind of feeling my peachy little fairy fantasy now. Now this I'm so excited about because this is a new product for Flower Nose to my knowledge. And I've seen this in the teasers and I was like, oh, I want one of those so badly. And I hope it's good. It is the liquid highlighter and I have the shade 04 Fairy Whisper, and I think this one is the iridescent pink one. Oh, I love this packaging. That is so pretty. It's almost like ceramic-y. Like, is that not a magical fairy potion? So I'm so interested to see what this formula is like. Little doe foot applicator. Let's have a look here. Ooh, ooh, whoa, mamma mia. And once again, my camera is not playing along with trying to show you because it's just coming off like reflecty in the camera, but it's reflecting like a light greeny gold color and then like a pink color. Pinky kind of one, and then the yellowy greeny sort of one. And in terms of blending it out, it's not super liquidy, it's more like a cream, and that's like what it looks like blended out. So it blends out pretty nicely. There's a little bit of playtime. I'm just trying to think of what the best way to apply this might be. I'm thinking it might be best to do direct application onto the face and then a really gentle blend out with like a synthetic brush. Well, let's try that. So popping it on there. That's so cute. Oh wow, it's even like violet-y in some lights as well. I wish I had a smaller brush, but I do not. Nope, that is not working. Will it work with a sponge? Nope, nope. Will it work with a finger? Kinda. Okay. This one, maybe not the easiest to work with. Keep in mind there is a little bit of powder on my face, which could be sort of affecting it, but also in my experience, like it doesn't tend to really substantially change kind of the formula that much. I feel like that's looking very stripy. It looks kind of okay on camera, but in real life it's giving stripy vibes. For this side, I think I'm gonna try putting a little bit on my hand and like dabbing it on, you know? Let's try like that. Okay, I think that might be the way to go. You don't have heaps of playtime with it. I feel like I did on my clean hand, but maybe depending what stage of your makeup you're in, you might not have as much playtime directly on the face. It's so funny. On the camera, it's not showing up at all, but in real life, I have a very pink and sparkly cheek. Again, I just changed the light so you can kind of see the pink like iridescence on the cheeks. It's really super noticeable and like iridescent and shiny in person, I feel like, which yeah, it's so hard to capture. I really like the concept of this and I like the color of it and like the vibe of it is so pretty and I think works very well for this like fairy collection. It gives me very much like peach PRC makeup vibes, you know, when she does that really beautiful like glitter kind of iridescent across her face. That's what it reminds me of, and I think it just works perfectly in this collection. I'm yet to be convinced on the formula and the product. I do think this would be like so pretty for like parties or like festivals and things like that. I definitely feel like this cheek where I just put it on with my finger looks a lot nicer than this one, which does give a little bit streaky. It's kind of hard to notice because it is mostly iridescent, so you can't really tell that it's streaky, so pros and cons, I guess. I don't feel like this is a very everyday product for me. I think it's an interesting addition to the lineup because even though the packaging of Flower Nose products are always really fantastical, magical, the actual products themselves do tend to lend itself to everyday wear, which is something I like about it because I can use these really special kind of magical feeling products in my everyday routine. This does feel like a bit more of like a special occasion, special kind of look sort of product. The little dot I put on my hand has like dried down. It's like not really moving unless I'm like really getting in there. So I think that's good that it would stay. I think for those more like festival kind of event makeup purposes, like that's where I would wear products like this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm convinced. It's not going into my like top 3 favorites from Flower Nose. It's just a little bit more finicky than I think some of their other products are. And for me, at least, I think the use case is a little more specific. If you have tried any of the other shades, I would love to know your opinion because I can only base it off this particular shade. And I have a feeling that the other ones might be slightly different. Okay, I was just checking, but yes, there are 2 different kinds of highlighters. They have the silky shimmery shades for everyday elegance, which are 1 and 2, and 2 multichrome shades, 3 and 4 for ethereal mystical transformation. So it could be that the formula between those 2 is slightly different, with the first 2 being those more traditional wearable liquid highlighter shades could be a little different to the one I use today. I will say as I'm filming, I'm becoming more and more obsessed with the eyeshadow. But that brings us to the final product I'm gonna be checking out today, and that is a lip color. And I'm a big lippy gal, so I feel like I'll have some thoughts on these. But these are the Coating Lip Lacquers. This is O2 Little Flower Fairy. Again, in kind of that like off-white, creamy, sort of ceramic feeling packaging. It's very nice and weighty. It feels like a little potion bottle. I do really like the packaging of this and the highlighters. I think they're super cute. The color, ooh, is sort of like a, ooh, let me swatch it for you. It's like a rosy, corally, ooh, the formula. I just had to double check because as I was like feeling that going onto my hand, I was like, that feels really different than their previous lip products. And it is, it's a new formula. So the other ones on their website are lip glosses, but this one is a lip lacquer. And it really had some like resistance as I was putting it on my hand. It didn't have as much slip as I feel like their lip glosses do. Their lip glosses that I've tried are very like watery. Like if you don't like a sticky gloss, I feel like the Flower Nose glosses are very like watery, non-sticky, but this has a little bit more of that like, I don't want to say stickiness. We'll see when we put it on my lips. And we also have this one in the pistachio minty green packaging, and it is 08 Mystery Island. This one's way more of like a brownie kind of nude. Yeah, to me, I would describe that as like a tawny kind of brownie sort of color, like a gingery latte sort of vibe. I want to try the sort of gingery brown shade out of curiosity because it's quite different for me. It's a beautiful color. I'm not sure it's like the most perfect match for me personally, but I do think it's a really nice color. Like I feel if you were like a redhead or something like that, that would be like such a pretty color. And now let's try the more corally sort of shade. I feel like this one kind of matches the look a little bit more as well. It's so weird seeing like these orangey kind of peachy colors because I just haven't worn them in such a long time. But in terms of the formula, I really like the formula. It's definitely different than their other 2 lip products, but if you liked either the unicorn lip gloss or the mermaid jewelry lip gloss, both those formulas, I think they were like slightly different. This isn't like a major departure from those two. Like if you like either of those, I think you'll like this as well. It feels super comfortable on, no tackiness, no stickiness. I wanna say it's kind of like a lip oil. I know they've called it a lip lacquer, but to me that conjures up feelings of like more thick, like sticky, like lip glosses. If you know that kind of vibe, like vinyl-y kind of thicker formulas, but this formula feels very thin and comfortable. Do not look too closely as my lips are a little bit dry now. It's nothing to do with the formula. It's just due to me now living somewhere that is significantly colder. I also really like the finish. It's not that super like glossy, like all the lines filled in, like high shine, like hyper real lip finish. But it's like that really like princessy, softly subtle gloss. So yeah, I like it. It goes into the kind of category of flower nose lip products that are more my vibe, more my jam than the ones that are like less my vibe, less my jam. And again, the packaging is like super cute. So that is everything that I have to try from the Midsummer Fairytales collection. I feel like I could be biased because I did put this on first, but I do think the eyeshadow palette is probably my favorite thing that I tried today. Admittedly, I've had a longer time to kind of stare at it as I've been applying makeup throughout this video. And I was initially a little taken aback at like the difference in the shimmer formula as opposed to the super glittery shades that I'm used to from Flower Nose. But I am just loving how they look on my eye, and it is just one of those things that I think it looks a lot better in person. It's hard to translate on camera. And if you were thinking of picking something up from this collection and you haven't got another eyeshadow palette from Flower Nose and you want something more wearable than necessarily these more green shades, the other two palettes from this collection are on the more neutral side of things. And while I haven't used the ones from this collection specifically, it's a very similar formula to the last couple of collections, and I've used a few of their different neutral eyeshadow palettes and I really like them. This to me just does feel super magical and special. I feel like that one's the standout. I am really enjoying this lip formula. This color isn't like the exact one I would pick out for myself, so I'm trying to like put that element aside and just kind of judge it on the vibe. But just based on first impressions and formula alone, I do feel like it is one of my more favorite lip products from Flower Nose. So if there is a shade in that range that interests you, and again, I do think the packaging is particularly precious for this collection, I think this one is one worth investigating. The brow palette, I don't really have any strong feelings about. The highlighter, I have mixed, confused feelings about, especially this kind of more multi-chrome shade. It's just a very specific product. Like, I think you're either gonna be into it or you're not. Then the blushes, I actually really like the Flower Nose matte blushes, as I said. Again, these two shades don't really sing to my heart, but again, this collection does lean, I feel, overall on the more warm toned side of things, just more broadly. But this does seem like the same matte formula that I really enjoy. If this collection's like particular, you know, fairy packaging really speaks to you and the shade selection really speaks to you, then I would recommend them. But if you don't particularly love the shades or you want like a slightly different vibe of the packaging, then I can equally recommend picking up blushes from those previous collections. I do really like this packaging though. I do like most of the Flower Nose packaging, if I'm being real. It's a very me-coded brand. And then, of course, how could I forget the mirror? I think this could be a new favorite. I'm obsessed with the heart shape and the soft, like pink, pearly, metallic vibe. So I just had a big yap session, but I hope it was a helpful and kind of fun yap session, kind of taking you through the different products and giving you my first impressions and review. Once again, I am an affiliate with Flower Nose. They are really lovely to work with, but I'm also not sponsored by them. They do not have any approvals process on these videos. I literally get to say whatever I want and be honest, and I really like working with them for that. And I think they're a cool brand, and I always look forward to their new launches and collections. So I do have a discount code for you to use, and I believe they're also running a like sale promotion kind of during the launch of this new collection as well. So even if you were looking at things from other collections, or if you watch some of my other Flower Nose review videos, if you haven't seen them yet, hint, hint. So I believe they do have some of those sales running now. Okay, that's everything. I'm gonna go investigate to see if those people who are remaking Pixie Hollow, how they're going on that. Because I now really feel like playing Pixie Hollow because I think it's like one of the best games ever. Let me know if there are any other aesthetic or otherwise makeup brands you'd like for me to test out, because I don't know, I've been kind of like in a beauty makeup mood lately, and I kind of wanna do more of that. I don't know, don't hold me to it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.